guys to do is we're going to so we're going to stand up in this circle that we are in. Everybody has one tennis ball or stress ball. We're going to call them stress balls. Okay. And we're going to start with each person will throw the ball to someone who has not yet had the ball. Okay, so we're going to start with one ball, and we're going to add more as we go along. All right, so you can keep it in your pocket or something like that because we're going to need it again in a second. Okay, the idea is that we want to keep the balls going. So remember who you threw it to, all right, and try to keep the same order as we go. So we'll start with one ball. Brian's going to start with his. Toss it to him. Toss it to him. Okay, keep that same order. All right. Feel like that's manageable, like you guys can control that, right? All right, so now let's keep the same order. So now Brian's gonna, or we're gonna start with the second ball. Cole will start with the second ball. Okay, so you're gonna go to the person that you threw the last time, and you're gonna keep the same rotation going, but now you got two tennis balls. Ready? Go. All right. Okay, so we dropped the ball, right? We dropped one of them. Okay, so let's go back to who had them first. All right, now we're going to add a third one. Okay. Remember who you threw to before, and let's try to keep the same rotation.
Nice.
The rotation. All right, so we dropped another ball. Try to keep going. Try to keep it going.
Oh, my bad.
Hey,
Oh, no.
you got to throw it before you can catch it. All right? All right. Okay, hold them. All right, back into the original person's hand. All right, now we're gonna add the fourth one. Once you guys get it going, I want you to try to pick up the pace a little bit. All right. Okay. Go. Stop. What's happening? There's tennis balls flying everywhere.
Okay.
Come on, let's focus. Alright, okay, let's take a seat. Alright, gentlemen, so we just finished the tennis ball or stress ball activity. And so what did you guys think?
Pretty stressful.
Fun? Okay. So was it, let's think about, why do you think I had you guys do the tennis ball?
You're gonna stay focused.
Stay focused.
You gotta be aware.
Serious.
So you gotta take it a little more serious. And
Yeah.
try to, kind of like what Cole said, focus a little bit, right, on what you're trying to do, because there are 4 tennis balls flying in rotation. Marco, Kevin, what do you guys think? You gotta work together.
Stressful.
It's stressful? Okay. Alright, so yeah, I mean, it could be stressful trying to juggle 4 different balls between 4 different people who may throw it quicker than the other person or higher than the other person. There are different ways that, you can get stressed out. I can understand that. So, Marco kind of talked about it in that you had to work together, but maybe we can go into a little more detail on, what you think it took to be successful in being able to pass those tennis balls around and keep them in the air and not letting them drop.
You have the timing right,
Timing.
so you don't have to throw at the same time, so no one has the ball, 2 balls in the hand at the same time.
Yeah.
So now it's gotta rely on the other person to catch it.
Okay, so what Cole is saying is we're working on timing individually and personally, but we also have some support, and we need to give support as well, right? And when we're trying to juggle that many things, it's helpful to have somebody that can help. Did you have something you wanted to say, Brian?
Like how Cole said, when you get the timing right, because like since Kev was the one throwing to me, I went on Kev's count. So when Kev threw the ball, I threw it to Marco. So it just helps you know that once, basically timing and working together as a team.
Maybe this is something we should do with our basketball.
That's one thing. Well, wait for you, Kev. What happened, bro?
Alright, so while you were doing this, how many of you were thinking about what you ate for dinner last night?
I actually was.
While we were doing
I was eating chicken.
While you were in the middle of trying to catch the tennis balls, were you guys thinking of other things, like what you had for dinner, or?
I thought about what I was eating for dinner last night and what I'm eating tonight. Right, like as we were throwing the tennis balls, like the first round, like and then the second one, I was like, man, we need good tonight. And then I'm like, and then like when the third ball came, and I was like, oh dang, I'm gonna mess up because I already dropped it once. So I was like, okay,
Time to focus
Yeah.
up a little bit.
yeah.
Let's just I don't want to be one profit.
You guys said
So, I mean, for this activity, you really got to be in the present, right? You got to be in the right now. You can't be thinking about what happened last night or whether your girlfriend is going to meet you for lunch or whatever the situation may be, right? You got to be focused. Right?
Yeah.
So part of being in stressful situations is realizing that they are manageable. Right? If you ever find yourself in a stressful situation, it is manageable, but you got to focus, right? And you got to take the time to do it right, and you got to make sure that if you are stressed out, what are some options we can do if we are stressed out? Right? I mean, I mentioned a couple right there. Do you guys have any other ideas of what we can do when life starts to get stressful?
play game.
Okay, well, so playing games can be a relief of stress, right? I mean, all of you guys play basketball. But as a basketball player growing up myself, that was a huge relief of stress. I could get out on the court and beat people up and get beaten up, and you forget about life for those 2 hours that you're in practice, right? Because coach has you focused. You're working on something. You're working on achieving goals. So what about you guys? What other things do you think you could, or ideas that you have that could help manage the stress? You know, what Kev, you mentioned that French was stressful. Do you have an idea, or does anyone have an idea of how we could make that less stressful for you, or how you could de-stress so that you could become successful in your French class?
Study like every day, you know. So it's hard.
Relieve stress.
I know, but like if you study like small things, you get
Oh, like studied so that
like
when you get in class, you wouldn't have to work harder. Or work hard, super hard.
So what I'm hearing Marco say is actually really good, and it's small increments, right? If you take on a big project all at one time, it can be super challenging, super stressful, right? But if you think about that big assignment that you have to do, you break it into increments, and now you're doing, a little bit of it on Monday, a little bit of it on Tuesday, a little bit on Wednesday. So by Friday, it's done. You can turn it in, right? And the stress, you don't have the stress from putting it off until Wednesday or Thursday to get this done. Okay, what about anybody else? You said school in general was stressful. Now, we want you to be successful in school, right? You want to be successful. You want to go on to college. So how can we, continuing your education in college is going to have the same stress as here, if not more, because you're going to have to be working and providing for yourself and so on as you become an adult. So how are we going to manage those stresses as, the school year rolls on?
I've talked to my counselor. A lot of things that really work is just going to church. Honestly, I go to church to relieve a lot of stress. Just sitting down by myself and praying really just lightens the mood a lot. Because sometimes it's different for other people, but for me, like I like sitting sometimes just in church and just by myself in the adoration room or in the near the altar and just praying or just talking by myself to God. It's like He's there with you. That like it's a trust type of thing, and it's like it's really peaceful to know. Like it's a stress reliever.
That's great. So what I'm hearing you say is that you find a place, and for you it's church. For other people who are not religious, right, or don't have a church nearby, you can find a place that is quiet and peaceful and allows you to kind of center yourself in it, right? Take yourself out of the stressful situation for a minute and reorganize your thoughts, calm down a little bit, find a, like Happy Gilmore says, find that happy place, right? Right, where you're comfortable and you're able to focus and you're able to get the work done that you need to get done. Right? That will help you become successful in school. So I really like that. That's something that you already do. That's something you should continue doing. Anybody else have any ideas of ways we can relieve stress? Cole, remind me what you said your stress. Okay, so tests.
Reviewing earlier for a test, so studying. Say I know the test is in 2 weeks. Start studying 2 weeks ahead of time for it instead of kind of last minute.
Planning.
Finals.
So you're kind of talking about what we talked about earlier, right? A little bit.
Reviewing.
Yeah, planning ahead. I mean, the major part that I heard was the planning part, right? Yeah, you want to give yourself enough time where you can break it off into increments, like you're talking about, especially if it's a big test and you've got a lot of review to do. You break that review into chapters or sections, right? And do one piece at a time. Right? That's kind of what we talked about already. But the planning portion, right? Planning things will make your life a lot less stressful because you're not bouncing around doing different things all the time, right? You don't know what's going on. I mean, that's why, as a counselor and as an educator, I have to keep, and a coach, right? I have to keep a calendar. Actually, I have 3 different calendars that I keep because if I don't, I'll forget about, having to be somewhere at a specific time or having to do something that needs to get done by a specific day, right? So planning ahead relieves a lot of the stresses of last-minute decisions that I'm going to have to make or last-minute actions that I'm going to have to take. Because when we take last-minute actions, you're not always going to have the best response in that situation, right? You guys think of a situation where that may have happened to any of you, where you didn't plan and then all of a sudden, you're at the last minute, and it can be school related, it can be home related, it's up to you. Something where you felt stressed out because you didn't plan accordingly, and now you're in a situation that is very stressful. Okay, so your final, and what about your final that stressed you out?
I didn't know what it was really.
Okay, so
It's
you
so
didn't know
much.
what was going to be on the test, or you didn't
Yeah,
know?
no, like I knew it was on the test, but then a lot of stuff. Like,
Since it's so much to remember, like
So
like
you're-
Christian's prayer.
it's like
It's like
40
100
questions.
things. Like we're just studying 3 out of 50, and we're having a test on it. Imagine the final. You're gonna have to remember all 47 of those chapters
Dude, it's
and
insane.
whatever we learned before that.
I know we gotta know like all the.
I don't even remember what we learned
So-
before that.
I can see already just with you guys talking about this, it's starting to stress you guys out, and we're not even close to finals.
Yeah.
So how can we? This is something that I think you guys need to think about, and maybe we can talk moving forward in the next group session that we have. Ways that we can manage that stress so that we are able to still have success in our other classes and success outside of school, right? And since you guys all play basketball, having success in basketball. How I want you guys to start thinking about different ways that we can relieve that stress.